Welcome to Teaching Orchestra. In this episode, I'm going to be going over the common problems of Dorian Variations by Mark Williams. And I hear a lot of orchestras play this piece, and it's a great contest piece because your orchestra can sound really great. The writing is really good, but sometimes there are still these common problems that make it into the performance at contests, and I'm going to try to give you some strategies on how to avoid that. So the entire Andante section is piano. All the way from the beginning, there are no printed dynamic changes until we get to the Allegro moderato. And in the Allegro moderato, it's almost always forte too, except for in a couple spots. We've got this pizzicato section here, which is piano. And here at the end, we've got 3 measures of piano, and then it's just forte again. So the pizzicato section is probably going to be softer anyway, just as a result of the technique. The increase in tempo is probably going to make your kids play louder anyway. So for a lot of these dynamics, you don't have to think about it, especially the fortes. But the pianos, you might have to remind them at the very least to try to start these phrases soft. I mean, they're going to try to get louder anyway, but if you start the phrases soft, you're going to have a lot more success. And that's typically what I hear. I typically don't hear orchestras that aren't loud enough in the fortes. I almost always hear orchestras that aren't soft enough in the pianos, especially the younger orchestras. This can be tough. And if they don't know how to grip the string yet, it can be really tough, maybe even impossible. Now they're young and it's hard to play soft and they don't have the technique yet, but they can remember to start each phrase soft. And they're going to sound a lot more musical if they do this. And I like to think about audio engineering when I'm doing this. When you're capturing audio, you want to save some headroom above the signal so you don't lose data, right? You don't want the data to clip. And so you set your gain so that you've got some headroom. And I think the phrasing in this needs to be the same way. You got to start the phrases soft so they've got enough room to grow through the phrase. And if they don't stay soft all the way through, that's actually a good thing, as long as they keep coming back down at the beginnings of the phrases. So here's something you could do. I would have them come up with as many synonyms for soft as they can and make it like a class exercise. So synonyms for soft. All right. Quiet, hushed, reserved, low, subdued, toned down, Arcadian. Arcadian? Who said Arcadian? Which one of you have been reading Dante? You know, you've always got that one kid that's reading list is longer than your arm. Anyway, it could be fun, yet effective, and even cross-curricular in this case to get your kids to play softer. So the next common problem is the Allegro moderato is too fast. And there's not that much difference between Andante and Allegro moderato. So maybe 20 beats per minute different, but it's definitely not double the tempo of the Andante. So something like la, la, sol, la, mi fa, sol, fa, mi. Again, your kids get excited and they're playing loud, and it's easy to conflate loudness with speed. And speaking of going too fast, let's check out the pizzicato. This section right here tends to rush a lot. And you're gonna have to teach your students the 3-step process to pizzicato. Before they play, they need to grab the string, pull it back, then release it. If they're rushing and they're primarily going to rush on these quarter notes, instead of just doing this like inchworm plucking type thing, have them do flying pizzicatos. Have them come off the string and pull the sound out of the instruments, and that'll slow them down a little bit too. We've also got this pizzicato section here at 45. Make sure they're pulling back the string and the rests. That's really going to help out too. Sometimes the low strings can anchor the upper strings from rushing, but sometimes the music is going to phase, meaning that the upper strings are going to play ahead of the lower strings, and hopefully they can find themselves together again in 49. All right, let's look at the end right here. The last 4 measures can kind of be tricky. We have these staggered entrances here. This is something that you're going to want to spend time on. They should be pretty familiar with the material. That's not what's hard here. What's hard here is the rhythm, okay? Can everybody rest here on beat 4 of 62, all right? This is sort of like the rest of doom. We don't want anybody to fall into the crevice of the rest of doom. We need everybody to pay attention and treat this very seriously. don't fall into the rest. So it's not about what you don't do, right? It's about what you do. So what should you do in the rest? Set the bow and grip. We're coming from this piano dynamic, and now we're going to be forte. So set the bow, maybe wiggle the string a little bit, and get ready for these last notes. Okay? Again, set the left hand for the pizzicato on beat 2. Pull back the string. Take advantage of these rests. All right? I don't want to hear any pizzicatos here. I don't want to hear them here. I don't want to hear popcorn pizzicatos. I want to hear one note at the end, and we can achieve that by everybody setting the finger and then releasing it right here. Well, that's my video on Dorian Variations, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I get more watches than on Star Dancer, and I really do think Star Dancer is a great piece. I just think the branding is terrible. But if you like Dorian Variations, check out some more of Mark Williams' pieces like Fiddlers on Fire and the highly underrated Star Dancer. Anyway, if you like my content, and I appreciate those of you who support my channel by buying the Teaching Companions, and I hope you can get your district to buy it because I don't want you to pay out of pocket. And if you have to pay out of pocket, just send me an email, teachingorchestra@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you for free. I'm not trying to tax anybody here. I'm just trying to get good content out to people to help their orchestras, all right? So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.